What do you say? It's raining a little bit, but not that much. You ready, T-Rex? Not gonna hide on us this time, are you? Good. All right. Mitt, you can stay inside. We know you don't like the rain very much. Yeah, it's raining. Wednesday, September 24th at 9 a.m. And we're a little on edge. Apparently there was a shooting, a fatality in Brockton yesterday afternoon, and the suspect fled to Weymouth, and the helicopters were circling around last night, so we slept with the doors locked, but we're unlocked now. We don't know the status of where that person may be. That's the news. Now, here's the weather. It's 62, 63 degrees with the air coming in from the northeast. What a coincidence. The water temperature is also 63 degrees in the ocean. We had a faux pas last night, frontal passage. I've mentioned a bunch of those in the last several weeks that were dry faux pas. Well, this thing is anything but dry. I want to start with the real big picture. Who's getting rain and or snow from this weather system? It stretches from Colorado to Florida to Maine, and probably parts of eastern Canada too, and maybe Mexico. This cocoa ras, all those reds down around Arkansas and Missouri are 4 inches. In New England, by the end of this thing in a couple days, we'll have 4 inches in spots. And on the west end of the rain, you know, there's always cold involved with rain. It doesn't rain just from warm air. You need a mix, unless it's a hurricane. And it's not a hurricane. So the western edge of this weather system is snow. And the National Park Service there from the Continental Divide in Colorado said it was snowing most of the day yesterday, above 10,000 feet. Bertrude Pass picked up about 8 inches of snow on the Elk. So that time of year where you can have both snow and hurricanes. Yesterday we had 2 Cat 4s, one in the Atlantic, one in the Pacific. They've since weakened, and now the Pacific is going to turn a little more quiet, and the Atlantic is going to ramp up. The National Hurricane Center says Gabrielle is now, I think, back down to Category 3, headed east across the North Atlantic. And then you have a red X south of Gabrielle. That's expected to become Tropical Cyclone Umberto, the H storm, in the next day or two. And fortunately, that one's pretty far north and east of the Caribbean, so not really in our wheelhouse, meaning it would probably almost certainly miss the east coast of the United States. But then the little yellow X is expected, or is it orange now? I forgot. Near Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, that is our wheelhouse. A storm that forms there is definitely in a position to impact the east coast of the United States. It's fairly heavy drizzle. We'll look at that in a minute. And we've got dual excavators and a dump truck. Bonus from the big dig here on the Gulf of Weymouth. Taking advantage of the very low tide right now, working as fast as they can. So he's dismantled the island he built there to work on the upside of the concourse, and now moving the island down so we can work on that side of the concourse over there. So they're almost done in our section here with the concourse, but there's going to be other stuff that happens, of course. So looking into the wind, where over the Atlantic Ocean, I'm not sure how much of it has to do with Gabrielle. I didn't think we'd get a Gabrielle swell, but this morning at Cinnamon Rainbows, that certainly is a clean-looking wave, isn't it? And the period's back up to 13 seconds. So the last 3 mornings have been good surf weather, but this is the best one. 4 foot, 13 seconds, I think is what it was, Looks, you can get some head-high sets in that kind of surf. So surf is up, and it's raining. We just saw the huge Coco Ras rainfall map. How about the closer-up Coco Ras rainfall map? And remember a couple days ago, the NEM said Great Barrington would end up with 4.5 inches. That was by this afternoon. That's not happening, but just south of Great Barrington, we have picked up more than an inch in northwestern Connecticut. And so there were some downpours around yesterday, and that comes over to about an inch near Warwick, Rhode Island. Rain just arriving on Cape Cod at press time. And then as you move north, it looks like there are a couple of outliers there near Rutland, Vermont, more than an inch. And then over in York, Maine, I think it was York, more than an inch and a third. Is that real? I guess so. I guess there was some convection yesterday. And then even further north from that, up around Mount Mansfield, also more than a half-inch of rain. So this is some of the most widespread rain we've had. We had that one about 2 weeks ago that got a lot of New England, but this one's, we're only in, what's this, day 2.5 of the rainfall, and we're going to go right through tomorrow night. So we're only halfway through this rainfall event, and here at my rain gauge, 0.11. And we picked that up fairly quickly this morning. Now it's just kind of drizzling. So the satellite image this morning shows some clear sky. No, wait, not the satellite. I want to show this map first. The surface map with the front right over southern New England, and that front with many waves of low pressure stretches all the way down to Texas, and there are several other fronts coming across Canada. And so it's just a very fronty map. And with that front right at the south coast, New England is a bit divided today. And a front is a boundary where air from the north and the high pressure in Canada meets air from the south with the high pressure off the mid-Atlantic states, and that's surface convergence, and that's what makes rain. Now we'll go to the satellite, and you can see the clouds thick across most of New England. Brighter skies up around the northeast kingdom of Vermont and Pittsburgh, Vermont. Some sunshine this morning. And also near Long Island, some sunshine this morning. And then rain in between, mostly across southern New England now, with that front having settled down to the coast of Connecticut. And it's really reflected too on the regional temperature roundup with, what was it, about 58 degrees with a dew point in the 50s there in the northeast kingdom of Vermont and around Pittsburgh, northern New Hampshire. And then at the south coast, temperatures are in the 60s. On Long Island, the dew point is 68 with a wind from the south. And that's where the action is. Big picture radar shows rain scattered all around. And look at that, a new batch of rain coming into California. There are so many moving parts. It's hard to fit it all in my head. Heaviest rain yesterday, Oklahoma, severe weather, Missouri, Arkansas. That batch of real heavy weather and possible severe storms gets here tomorrow. It's raining in Florida with the old front from like last week. And then you have rain across southern New England too. And if you close in on that rain in southern New England using the National Weather Service radar there, it shows some yellow on there. So these are downpours across parts of Narragansett Bay, closing in on Buzzards Bay. So where it is raining, most of us are not raining, but where it is raining, it's pouring. And it's going to rain off and on right through tomorrow, and hopefully the weekend is dry. I got to tell you, the GFS now is trying to come in with a wet Sunday while the Euro is still dry, but we'll see that explanation in a few minutes, along with the tracks of the new tropical cyclones. And on the other side of the world, Josh Morgerman got himself into the eye of the storm last night. He didn't have a very good connection. It was, he said, the sounds, groaning sounds, and parts coming off the building. Josh chases for the eye. That's why he didn't go to one of those islands. It would have been too hard to move around. And Typhoon Ragasa with 120-mile-an-hour winds remained a major storm. That would be the equivalent of a Cat 3 hurricane, and he experienced the eye. And I was pretty surprised how good connections they had there coming out of Bataan with their updates. And Josh sends his update later today when he gets a better connection. So I remember last year we lost him for a few days, and that was kind of scary. But he's a survivor, so we'll hear from Josh, and we'll be watching. You're going to come back to the United States and chase, or are you going to wait for another typhoon coming into Vietnam? It looks like there's going to be another typhoon out there. Loud noises. Let's go to the QPF forecast. When and how much more rain? Well, the rain today, this is the NAM from last night, continues across southern New England. These are some isolated heavy rains while we're mostly dry in northern New England on the cooler and less humid side of the front for now. But this front is going to come back to the north as a warm front tonight. And that's going to generate more heavy rains across parts of southern and central New England. And then we're going to have both a warm front from the south and a cold front from the west, and a low pressure system tracking to our north. And there are going to be strong to severe thunderstorms with drenching, training rains. That is, it's pouring, it lets up, it pours again. It's thundering. It lets up. It thunders again. There could be some isolated wind damage tomorrow in some of these thunderstorms, but the rain is going to be the big feature. And then the rain is forecast to shut down during the day Friday. This prognostication goes out to 2 p.m. on Friday. We stop it there, and you see stripes of yellow. One very close to you, Max, just south of Martha's Vineyard. So maybe Cape Cod gets into it also, and southern Vermont, some yellow spots. The presidential range of New Hampshire, White Mountains, some yellow spots. So once again, purple is 1 to 2 inches, and then red is 3 to 4 inches, and yellow is more than 4 inches of rain in spots in the next 60 hours. Well, it's down to about 50 hours now because that's last night's product. So the most welcome rain, and the ski resorts are going to love this because the ponds have been drying up, and we need those snowmaking ponds to fill up. And I didn't show it, but I'll show you the map for tomorrow evening. This is the Weather Prediction Center forecast map, and it shows the front stretching from southeastern Canada down to the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what I mean by a full latitude trough, with air from the North Pole going down into the Great Lakes and air from the Bahamas coming up into New England. Tropical downpours and thunderstorms tomorrow. And then this front goes offshore New England, but it may try and come back to the north over the weekend. So now let's go to the Euro and see how it all plays out in the big picture. So there's our full latitude trough with the rains returning to New England and the front going across New York, low pressure to our north, the warm front, wherever that warm front gets to, maybe Nashua, New Hampshire or so. The temperature and dew point are going to be in the 70s tomorrow, and while it's in the 50s and 60s in northern New England. So we have a triple point possible in New England, and those triple points mean trouble and heavy downpours and thunderstorms that are waning and moving offshore here on Friday. And then we have a nice high pressure system, not too cold, coming out of south central Canada. It's not a really cold high, so looks quite nice still for the Eldridge Farm Party on Saturday on Cape Cod. We're all looking good. But note the front to our south. Looks like another low coming up across Virginia on Saturday night that's coming toward the south coast and falling apart. According to the Euro, GFS would have us soaking rain on Sunday. So we're at least going to have clouds coming back on Sunday. It's not going to be as bright as Saturday. And maybe some rain from Connecticut to Cape Cod. So even though it's a Wednesday and I should be able to call on the forecast, it's not that easy. Okay, now sticking out like elephants in the room, 2 tropical storms, both looking like hurricanes now. One safely at sea, unless you're near Bermuda, and the other one coming across the Bahamas and right towards South Carolina, and then putting on the brakes as the other one, probably the H storm, is exiting the scene stage right. The I storm is sitting there, and here comes a massive high pressure system from Canada in this year of highs from Canada that we call hurricane repellent. Look at the size of this one. Its circulation clockwise stretches from off the map to the north, to off the map to the east, to off the map to the south, to the continental divide. That's how much influence this hurricane repellent high pressure system has. It deflects one of the hurricanes pronto out to sea, and the other one kind of stalls to our south. And look at the number of isobars from New England down to Florida. So even if the tropical cyclone stays offshore, we are all impacted by wind, especially from the south coast of New England all the way down to Florida. But then as the week goes on now we're getting to next Wednesday and Thursday, that hurricane is just meandering around there between South Carolina and Bermuda, and the high comes right over us, and our wind dies down, and it turns beautiful around here with just nice air from Canada, but that circulation is still huge, and this goes out now till Friday, October 3rd, and that high is still here. Wow. So this season of high pressure systems from Canada protecting us from hurricanes, but they've been causing a lot of problems on their perimeter. So when that high moves back offshore late next week into next weekend, maybe we get some trouble or action if there's anything left from the tropics. But the Euro today says all those tropical cyclones are going to stay offshore. Good news for us. And there's not really much cold air around. We had some cold coming at us early next week, but that's lifted away with more warmth in central Canada. So, you know, those are low confidence forecasts. The lowest confidence forecast actually I think that's it for the weather now. The lowest confidence I have is that Sunday might end up being a nice day or not. And if it does rain on Sunday, we're going to be switching to the GFS. The GFS is a similar forecast with the hurricanes. GFS doesn't have any wild hurricane projections for us. All right, so we were a little nervous last night with what happened. I had just prepared that wonderful fish that Tony had given us. Tony and his family catching the fish last Friday or so, and so it was getting down to the time to consume it, so I had worked carefully preparing it, and right when I had the swordfish just right, the helicopter showed up, and everyone went out in the yard, and the helicopter hovered around for more than an hour, and we still don't know what happened to the alleged shooter in that shooting in Brockton, why they fled to Wessagusset, which is kind of coincidental because T-Rex, wherever T-Rex is, T-Rex was brought to Wessagusset Beach by a family from Brockton and abandoned on our beach. T-Rex, where are you? He's up there somewhere. And so it's interesting. People love to come from Brockton to Wessagusset, drop off dogs, hide, and why not? Look at this view. It's beautiful. But most of the Enmore yesterday is just going to be admiring the Tuesday beauty, and a tanker went by, so we got a tug and a tanker, and then a gray sunset, and then all that action with the helicopter and such happened after the sunset, so that's all we're going to talk about that for now. And so yesterday's weather today, that's how we wake up. When the tide is low at 7 a.m., that's the sound we get. Yesterday's weather today, it's called the Enmore. Enmore. I think I just saw an eagle go by. Do we still have osprey? Maybe it's an osprey. Of course, the camera can't focus on it. 9 o'clock, nice southwesterly breeze. And the tide's coming in, so Luciano had to leave the project. See if he comes back after late in the day. So the tides are just not right for working on the shore because of the new moon. The tide is high in the middle of the day. Oh, it's so nice out right now. Tuesdays are good if you can get them. Enmore, 10 a.m. How warm is it? So warm that Steve was lounging in the shade underneath the lounge chair. And now he's coming over because whenever I come out to bring him back in, he has to come over into the cement and stretch and roll and get his back rub or belly rub. You gonna come over to the sun now? So it's very interesting. The dew formed, or the condensation formed on the cement because the cement was colder. The dew point came up, condensation, and then where the sun has warmed the cement, the dew has melted off. And the dew is just melting off the table now. Glorious. Should we play hooky from all the work I had assigned myself and just go over to Nantasket Beach and pretend it's summertime on this first full day of celestial autumn? I use that word a lot because what the sun does doesn't match up with what we say in the climate and meteorological department, which is the first day of autumn is September 1st as far as climate and weather goes. Record keeping and such. Cabbage butterflies extending the season. There goes Independence, the tugboat. Looks so massive compared to the Yggdrasil, looking a little green boat, right? And there's the city of Boston. So we get this Independence, which is probably going to pick up a tanker. See how big it looks now? And then if I'm in the right position, we'll see how big it looks or little it looks compared to the tanker it's going to retrieve and escort out. Oh, here's a little example of perspective. I see this other boat coming in. Oh, here we go. Just noticed it. How to make a tugboat look small. Tanker, 600-700 feet long. Making the tugboat look small. What's that tugboat? Maybe 80 feet long? Tugboat looks big now. And the tanker looks ginormous. truckers to get them to beep the horn, but it doesn't seem to work with tanker pilots. There's a real wide shot. There's me trying to get it to beep its horn. And the flag gusting from the southwest. Spectators. Silt in the water, mostly because we're operating that heavy equipment up and down the shore. So it mixes up the mud and clay and whatnot. You can follow that current. The tide's actually, I think, maxing out right about now. Interesting that the sediment's moving that way, but everything swirls, everything goes in circles. So say your tide's coming in, it's going to form an eddy, and that will cause the sediment to go out like that. Somebody's going swimming in the sediment. Why not? It feels really warm. Feels like about 80 here. Clouds are threatening to come in, but they thinned out. Well, it's raining in Vermont. Tuesdays are good if you can get them. Mantra. No ducks. Wouldn't be able to hold a duck. It would fall through in the rust. Let's see if we can't get an inspection sticker on this beast. It's a little hard to shift due to rust. Let's see how it accelerates. I did manage to get it into gear here on this beautiful September 23rd, first full day of celestial autumn. Off the line. Sounds pretty good, huh? There's a little hole in the exhaust, and the frame and the body are coming together. I mean, at the same time, not coming apart. 2005 Rubicon, 146,000 miles. Very difficult to part with. Just basically keep one car here all the time. This one should be ready to go. Should be. Spare parts. What is that? Nice screwdriver, huh? 79 at Logan Airport, 1:48 p.m. The clouds are filling in. Look at that sailboat having fun out there. Oh yes. Very warm and now turning gray day. And there's the back bay of Boston. Man, we love having you on Out the Door Weather and More, but you don't have to climb up on the desk while I'm working on the weather. It is warm and the clouds are thickening, but it looks like so far the rain and, oh look at that, it's snowing in Colorado. Flooding in Arkansas. The rain missing us to the north so far. So you want to go out there? 4 o'clock. Just prepped a little appetizer for dinner. Tony, are you watching? This is the big eye tuna, and I grew my own cilantro, and I added some of the stuff you gave me, those kind of pickled hot peppers there, and I put in some capers just for fun, and I'll probably put in some of my cherry tomatoes from down there in the garden. Good. 6:10 p.m. It's mild. It's gray. We're still on the warm side of the front, is bisecting New England with the rain to the north, and the front settles south, and we should get some rain by dawn. Steve is just keeping an eye on, oh, I said his name, he looked over. So cool. Critters that are in there. And so let's just call it a day. Got several people fishing right here. Lots of bogeys, pogies for bait, and menhaden and stripers, I assume. And a time lapse of the day. So beautiful in the morning. The excavator was only out there for a few minutes. The tide came in pretty quickly today. And the clouds came in shortly after. It's been fun watching the clouds going in 2 different directions the last couple of days, but I think most of the flow today was from the southwest. That's what happens on the backside of these high pressure systems. And Cape Cod, where we probably had more hours of sunshine, although I think the day started gray and then turned blue. If we get much rain on Cape Cod, it's probably at the tail end of this 2 or 3 day event. And hopefully our weekend still looks promising with the Eldridge Farm Party on Saturday. I want to give a good forecast for that. All right, Tony, here's where we're at. Keep adding more and more stuff to the tuna, big eye tuna, and I bought a bunch of different things. And I did have my own cilantro. And now we're going to do a really thick swordfish, over an inch and a half. Both sides in butter. I got it at 400. So we're gonna do it at 400, probably a little more than 6 minutes aside because it's so thick. I'm gonna do 6 minutes and 10 seconds aside. And that's it. Gray evening. All kinds of different boats, different sizes we saw in the time lapse today. Look at those two. And it's a wrap. For our Tuesdays are good if you can get them. And the advantage of a wet Wednesday or Thursday is usually the sun comes back for the weekend. So here's to that optimistic outlook. Talk to you tomorrow.